Hard Rockology Show. That's the latest from Pop Evil. Song is called Trenches. And on our phone from the band, as promised, lead vocalist Leigh Kakaty. Welcome to the Hard Rockology Show.
Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
Great. You got a new album out called ONYX. Lots of tour dates. Pretty busy schedule, to say the least.
It's been nonstop. We're just excited to be touring with a new record, new music. It's been exciting so far. We can't wait to just get out and just expose new music to as many people as possible.
I wanted to ask you, ONYX. How did you come up with that particular name for the album? I mean, it's
ONYX kind of came from a dark place. I think the rock business in general is changing, and it's about how you deal with it and how you handle it. I know we dealt with a lot of adversity internally with member changes, and of course with old record labels, and it just. We've seen so many friends of ours, in new bands that, kind of did an album or two and didn't last. Maybe they're not here today, and it's definitely a challenge. And, I think that in that dark place we wanted to, write about it. We wanted to kind of take a positive approach to, take something dark and make it into something that hopefully can help others. And, ONYX kind of rising from the ashes, and ONYX the stone is a timeless piece, and we kind of use those kind of analogies and those references to try to put together a solid piece of work that could hopefully stand the test of time.
Well, one of the things I noticed, and I was talking to my brother before the interview today, and he was asking me about the album, what I thought about it, and I basically expressed to him that there seems to be a lot of anger, not necessarily anger, but frustration, and if you really listen to the album and the tracks on the album, there seems to be a lot of references to basically a lot of stuff that happens to people in life, whether it's somebody passing away, whether it's, with trenches, dealing with adversity and dealing with basically stuff that you have really no control over. In a way, it's kind of like this album kind of speaks to, you just have to sit there and deal with all these adversities and all these things are going to happen in your life. And I think what I got out of the album was, it's time to move on. This is all in the past. Let's move on. Is that pretty much what kind of direction you were going in with this album?
Yeah, I mean, there's, you said a lot of good points there. I mean, at the end of the day, for us, it was about being serious and focusing on the music. And, with our first opportunity, we had to work with Johnny K. It was more of a learning curve. We were kind of like deer with the headlights on. It was our first time working with an A-list producer. And again, this was when we did War of Angels, the album before ONYX. And it was just like, wow, it felt like a first time in a lot of ways. But when we did ONYX, it was totally different. We were all about the music. We know now that we have to play these songs for the rest of our life, in most cases. So we wanted to not listen to what our managers and label and producers were saying about what they thought we, at the end of the day, on this record had the last and final say. And that's something we prided ourselves in. It was just very focused mentality, very supportive. So it was definitely about everyone understanding their roles internally and saying, hey, there's no competition here. We all have a place. This is what we all bring to the table. This is our role. And once we can accept that, then we can be supportive and really put forth all the effort into the music. And for the first time in our career, we were able to do that on ONYX. And I think that, musically it shows.
Well, you mentioned, this is Chris here, Leigh. You mentioned earlier in the interview, about actually a couple of minutes ago, how like you've come across other bands and stuff, and they've released a couple of records and then just given up and such. Is that something that you guys did not want to go through, or you just figured, we're just going to fight for what we want, and this is what we really want to do? And is that probably part of the reason why you lost the guitar player on your from your last record?
Well, I mean, I think dealing with change, this business is very different than I think what people think. On the outside looking in. I mean, sometimes you just hear the song on the radio, you see it on YouTube, you see it on the internet, and it seems like, it's just an easy thing. And or obviously, I know people work to be where they're at, but they think, okay, this is great. They're on the radio. Everyone's rich here. Everyone's living large. It's just not the case. I mean, in order to break a rock band in this business, you have to stay on the road. I mean, Pop Evil played over 250 shows last year alone. So I mean, the sacrifice and the amount of the commitment just to break. There's just so much competition. I think they're giving away 8-tracks at Burger King and Happy Meals these days. It seems like everyone wants to be a musician now more than ever, which is a great thing. But, it's harder to break through, and it's harder to, weed through the quality music. So it was important for us that work ethic changed. And I think as the work ethic changes to be more specific and to be more refined, I think that band members realize, wow, I've been away from home X amount of years, X amount of days, And, you know, it takes a different kind of sanity to be gone most of the year and be kind of, you know, living on the road or in a tour bus. It's a different lifestyle. And it's, you know, I always preach that it's 10% music, 90%, you know, brothers. You know, I mean, we spend 90% of the time being around each other on a tour bus, you know, in these small quarters. And we're lucky to have a tour bus. I mean, it's, you know, how hard it is to have a tour bus in this touring age. It's difficult. You know, everyone's changing, and to be able to afford to stay on the road and make music, it's more of a challenge now than it's ever been. I think it's the hardest generation for rock and roll music that it's ever been. So to be a band that's kind of standing the test of time is a credit to the hard work of that band, and definitely Pop Eagle's a band that is, you know, still around and continues to grow and get bigger year in and year out. So I mean, definitely something we're proud of and something we honor ourselves with music.
Well, that being said, I know ONYX is your third long play or CD, whatever they're calling them now. But I have to ask, being that you've been through the process, you've been with a record label, a big name record label, and we're going to ask you a little bit later on about that, where you basically had a contract deal and you basically gave it all up to start all over again. Now, the third time around, is this probably the easiest album that you've worked on, or is this perhaps the hardest album that you worked on?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we'd call it the easiest. I mean, I think this is the first album we've ever worked on where everyone was doing what they're supposed to do. You know, when you get signed to a record deal, you want the record label to put out your album properly and make sure the CDs are in the right stores where your fans can, you know, have access to purchase them. I mean, there's just so many obstacles we've dealt with, and it just, for the first time in our career, it feels like, okay, this is the right way to put out a record. You know, the record label we're with now, E1, is so supportive, and everything from TV commercials to iTunes placement to trying to package out our international game plan. I mean, the label's been right there, and everyone's been working cohesive as a team, you know, whether it's the label, the management, the lawyers, and then, of course, the band. It's just definitely wasn't all there in the earlier albums, and I think that's why, you know, we're still where we're at, that we've always kind of not really busted out of that mainstream look. We've always been kind of under the radar, which is fine with us. But I think, you know, this time with this album, hopefully, you know, it helps get us seen in a different way, and hopefully it helps us break in a way that we haven't broke before on the two previous albums.
What was it like working with Johnny K? He's worked with Megadeth. I mean, was that like a big deal? Like, I think you mentioned that a couple of minutes ago when you recorded the second album. I mean, was he like easy to work with, or totally different than what you thought he'd be like?
No, Johnny's amazing. He's like a big brother to me. You know, I think the first album when we did War of Angels with him, it was it was very new to us. And, you know, wow, with, of course, his track record, Disturbed, Megadeth, Esteem, it was just, you know, again, very deer in the headlights. It was like, wow, you know, we're here, we've made it to this level. We're finally going to get music that sonically sounds like everyone else. And then, you know, this time around, it was like, okay, well, that's all over now. It's time to challenge. And again, on War of Angels, he was more telling us what to do and dictating, you know, hey guys, have you thought about this? And, you know, with no platinum on our walls, we made sure, you know, we felt like we didn't get to really fulfill what we wanted to do with them the first time around, just because, you know, because of where we were personally and individually as a band. But you know, when we got to this album, ONYX, you know, we knew that Johnny was the guy, and we wanted to just challenge Johnny to dig deeper. And you know, hopefully, challenging Johnny, he was going to bring more out of us, and that's exactly what happened. Finally, for the first time in a studio setting for Pop Eagle, it felt like more of a collaboration with the producer. It was definitely more fun, and it was exciting to me. But the challenge was I think we did War of Angels in 6 months, and we did, you know, ONYX in a month. So we had less time but less money to do.
Really?
It was, in that way, it was harder, you know. But we were flowing, and we were just so excited and so much more rehearsed in the studio that, you know, we weren't wasting time, and we weren't, partying, not quite the right word, but procrastinators and being lazy.
Well, you only had a month though to do the last record, so that's probably why, you know.
Right. There was no going out. There was no family coming through. It was just, you know, hey, we're going to just grind and just get this over with so we can get back on the road and you know, make a living. Because the more, again, one thing that people don't always realize is the longer we're not touring, the less money we're making. We have bills just like everyone else.
Let's go back in time a little bit, Leigh. What was one of the first records you ever bought, and what are some of the bands that influenced you to be a musician?
Man, well, obviously, I think the first CD I ever bought, without aging myself, so I'll say CD, was, of course, it was Appetite for Destruction. You know, when I've been I was maybe a pop guy. This is when rock was still pop. This is when, my rock was mainstream. So that was definitely the first influence when you're watching Axl. And I don't know if I had any desire when I bought that disc way back when to be a front man or to be a singer or to be in a rock band. I just love the music. And I was always singing. And then then I got into the 90s rush, which was Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, and then started to really, really be interested in how, guys could pick up an acoustic guitar and really sing and play for grandma and mom, and then at the same time play for all the ladies you wanted to hook up with and sleep with, and they were all about you as well. I mean, it was just awesome to know the power of a guitar and a voice, and I think that with that acoustic resurgence, especially with Stone Temple Pilots Plush, I remember watching that on MTV, and it was just Scott and his guitar player. It was just one of the DeLeo brothers and Tim, and they were just rocking it out just with that, just to hear that acoustic grime. And I know the 90s, I would always buy the bootleg CDs that had the acoustic versions. It was just always something I was passionate about. And again, growing up in Michigan on the Great Lakes, there was always an acoustic guitar. We would always hang and have campfires out at the lake, and just good people hanging out with good food, and of course the guitar. And everyone would fight for the guitar. And everyone would try to sing. I'd be like, I got a song I wrote. Well, I got a song I wrote. And everyone would kind of share because everyone was trying to hook up with all the same girls, I'm sure, by then, So it was a good time, and I think that was like the first itch. And then shortly after that, I took writing a little more seriously. And after that, it was one of those first things where, like, I just want to hear my voice recorded. I want to make my first CD. And, then we kind of went from there. But definitely those bands in the 90s, and even some of the bands when we started that are bigger now. I remember when Shinedown was first breaking, Theory of a Dead Man was first breaking. Those kind of bands, obviously now we're big now, and they were kind of new back then. So it was those were the bands that were hot on the radio. Again, Breaking Benjamin was another one. It was always like, okay, what are those bands doing? Those are the ones that we were hearing on the radio the most. And, it was always about being a radio band in our thing. It was always like, look, we want to be on the radio where everyone's singing our song. It was very simple. And once we kind of targeted what it was that we wanted to do, we had to learn about how to go about getting that. We had no money, so we knew the only way to really do that was to get a good producer, and the only way to get a good producer is to get money. So the only way we knew to get money was to play covers. So we played covers for about 5 years just to save up money and afford a good producer. And we ended up getting our break with Al Sutton, who did
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock stuff. Yeah, did Kid Rock, exactly. And then and it was all she wrote.
So you mentioned Shinedown earlier, and my brother and I, we talk about this a lot. You guys are very, very similar to Shinedown. Do you actually know Brett Smith at all? Because the singing is very similar, and what you guys both write about is extremely similar.
We know it. We know him. I wouldn't say we're close. We haven't, unfortunately, toured with him as much as we'd like to. But, the thing we love, and I love about Brent, is he's very melodic. His voice is very powerful, but he can also sing,
Which would be the same.
I have my moments, Brett. But I have my moments on ONYX Wet Scream, and I love it. Being out with Ty Finger and Trivium and Killswitch Engage really taught me a lot about, how to express myself on a more angry side, and how to, portray that, internally, and how to, watching those guys and those greats scream every day and how they do it, I was able to, they were able to teach me things where I could develop my own style, to bring out. That was about Pop Evil. It's about having, songs that can be about your emotions. Not angry all the time. Sometimes I'm sad, sometimes I'm excited. And I wanted to, we love to put an album together that kind of takes you through all your emotions, and ONYX definitely does that. But that's what Brent does. When I listen to my early Shinedown records, it's like he's got his grit when he's angry, and he kind of comes at you and a heavy song, and also he's able to do a ballad that can, get grandma to sing at a wedding. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
That's the power of a Shinedown.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
kind of the band,
Well, that being said, I wanted to ask you about your track on your album, Beautiful. Now, depending on what version people are out there buying, if you buy the deluxe version, which I did, you're going to get the two different versions of that particular track. Now, I guess my question to you is, why would you do two different versions of a track on a particular album? And I actually think both versions of the song are phenomenal, but I really want your take on it from your perspective and actually laying down the track, why it was put on the album that way. Was there a reason that way, or is there a preference in regards to the track as to which one you prefer over the other?
Well, so part of it is, we talked about earlier about, one of my favorite songs that changed my life was Stone Temple Pilots Plush, and it wasn't the band version. The band version was great, and it's super famous and all that, but I remember when I first heard the acoustic version, it changed my life. It was just purity in its purest form, from the vocal to the strum of the guitar. You know, when you're hearing the like, it just captivated me, and I knew, even though it's the same song when you get the album version and the acoustic version, like, I was willing to fight for that version. I think I was like trying to find a cassette tape just so I could tape it, you know, from the TV, because you couldn't hear it on radio really, even, at least we're in Michigan. I had to try to tape it from MTV just so I could hear it again, because I was so addicted to it. So I knew that once people fall in love with a certain song like I did, I wanted to hear it a different way, because even though, like, you hear Beautiful on the album version, you know, it's very musically, it's very angry, because the frustration that, you know, I've dealt with, and many people like me have dealt with, about just trying to, you know, like who's looking back at you in the mirror. You know, our song Monster You Made, Beautiful, is kind of like the culmination of once you accept who that is looking back at you, once you can start to live your life, that you bring something positive to the table from today, for every day, for the rest of your life, well, then you can really start living. But I'm singing that song vocally in my rock voice, in my stage voice. When I do it just acoustic, me and the piano, me and the cello, me and one guitar, you're able to hear my voice as it really is. You know what I mean? Without any imperfections, without the raspiness. Just that is my real voice on that version. Just me singing normal. You know, and I don't know if people always understand that, but when I sing with the band's cranked up. It's got amplification. It's very loud. So I have to sing above that. So you have to come in a totally different range vocally. So sometimes with that, that's not really your real voice. If I'm singing Beautiful to you, sitting here with you and me, I'm not going to sing it way up there. You know what I mean? You kind of sing it depending on where your mood is.
Exactly.
If I'm playing for 2 people, if I'm playing for 2 people, I'm not going to sing it the way it is on the album. You'd be like I'm yelling at you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, let's just put it this way: it's a beautiful song. Either way you listen to it. I'll be honest with you. I like the acoustic version myself. I think
there's going to be an acoustic album in the works for some reason.
Yeah, I think Pop Evil's going down the acoustic road, and I think
why not?
Yeah, I think that's something that you guys need to do.
We get it all the time, but, you know, this album, ONYX especially, we didn't have any acoustic guitar on the album at all. And, you know, it's something that, you know, if we continue to grow and we decide to do more acoustics down the road, then we're definitely not afraid to do that. And I think that's why we call the band Pop Evil. It's definitely not what we expect. If we want to throw an acoustic out and just do an acoustic song, we're willing to do that. You know, where most rock bands don't always do that. It's just always got to be loud and in your face. And that's just something we don't like to do. We like to just, whatever the song needs, we're willing to do it.
So being a big sports fan, like you mentioned earlier, you got to be really proud of the fact that a lot of teams use a lot of your songs during their events.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, it's definitely never gets old when a sports team, you know, embraces your songs and plays it to inspire, you know, someone to win and someone to compete. I mean, that's always been my dream to have competed. I always wanted to play for the Lakers, but I ended up not being Kobe Bryant, so I can live with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But you know, so I guess this is my way to play, and you know, to play so many sports and to hear to be in a gym, to be in an arena and hear your song. It's just something that is always a good feeling, and it's definitely a credit to the hard work.
So you guys got a new video out for the song the single on the album, Trenches. What was it like making that video?
Awesome. You know, flew to Sweden to do 3 videos. We did a music video trilogy, and you know, we were able to shoot Trenches in this amazing mansion in rural Gothenburg. Just incredible. Obviously, you can see the scenery when you watch the video.
Yeah.
It's just breathtaking. And you know, we're excited. I mean, the band hasn't seen the other 2 videos at all, so we're excited. We're kind of, you know, seeing the videos right with the fans. So all I know is that they are done, and we got them, so that was good. That was hard
the video definitely does its job, because I mean, every time it comes on as a promo on VH1, you get your attention right away, and I'm like, wow, I got to check that out.
Yeah, do you want to let us know what those other 2 videos that you shot were?
Let me think about it. No, I think I'll make you wait.
Okay, we got to wait now. That's great. Thanks a lot. So
I love it.
So Leigh, do you have like any pre-show rituals? I mean, we're always curious about what musicians go through before they get on the stage, and then like when you get on the stage, like what's one of the first things you notice when you hit the stage?
Man, we used to have a lot of rituals, but we play so many shows now that it's just kind of like, you know, we usually do a toast. It used to be Jaeger, you know, but now we get rid of that. Now it's just, you know, put them back and do something just to calm the nerves for us, you know. But usually when we get, you know, we usually check the crowd, see, you know, depending on the crowd and how rowdy, you know, kind of gives you a heads up about how crazy the show's going to be, you know, and how much fun you're going to have that night. And that's kind of the first thing you listen for. Or you look for. I don't really look at the crowd. I'm superstitious. I don't really look at the crowd till the moment I go out. So you're just kind of listening and kind of getting geared up and doing your thing. But other than that, man, we just kind of come together as brothers and just kind of wish everybody luck today, and you know, let the music play through us, and hopefully win over more fans that you know, join the Army.
Now I got a question for you, because like I said, we had an opportunity to see you open up for Whitesnake and Judas Priest back during the British Steel Judas Priest tour. Now, what was that like opening up for those two bands?
Man, that was just a magical experience. I mean, to be with legends, you know, all summer long, it was just something I don't think we really ever knew we would ever do. I mean, if someone would have told us we'd be touring with Judas Priest and Whitesnake, playing all the biggest venues in the country, it was just it was exciting, especially when we were so green. I mean, I think it was maybe our second year, you know, as signed artists. So it was definitely something we weren't expecting, and to be able to play all those big venues was, I think, something that educated us as we tour now. I mean, we still bring with us things when we tour now that we learned from that experience. You know, whether it was just set lists or how they displayed their sound gear, how they made sure they were running their ears to, of course, how they were handling themselves on and off stage as professionals was it's true inspiration, definitely. I mean, the Priest doesn't get better than that.
I mean, what's been one of the most memorable moments you guys have experienced so far playing?
Man, there's been so many. I think on the spot. I mean, I think one for me is the release of this record. You know, to have it all be doing what it's supposed to do. Trenches being, I mean, I think it's 4 in the country or something like that right now.
Yeah.
Our highest charting single, especially this quick, and it's, you know, on the verge of being our biggest song yet. And of course, being same thing goes with the album. But again, having the label here done, I mean, again, they did the CD. They did the jewel case in the store the way they wanted to save money and to make sure it was affordable and cost efficient. But they also did a digipack version of the album that we wanted, was the way the band wanted the album.
Which is my preference as well. The digipack is the way to go.
The digipack is way dope, and it looks incredible. And you know, they were able to do that for us. Most labels wouldn't go the extra mile for us to do that, and well, most haven't ever in our career. So for them to do that was just incredible. And of course, they gave us the dream. They gave us a vinyl. So I mean, I got my first vinyl of one of my CDs is definitely a moment. Definitely was a moment.
Congratulations.
Important. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. And so little things that, you know, still for us in this industry, the little things that are so important. So we try to appreciate them.
Well, we go from memorable moment to Spinal Tap moment.
Oh man, we've had too many of those. Oh yeah, jeez. Oh man, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean,
well, sure
I think
you can.
The ones that remind me the most that are tough for me are when we do the Shiprock cruises, because I'm always so seasick. So trying to finish, you know, a show being seasick, and I know that our bass player Matt broke his nose. That was the one that was, I don't know if I'd call it spinal, but it was definitely an awkward moment. And I looked over, and he looked like Marilyn Manson, just covered in blood. And I was like, oh, my God, what did he do? You know, and he hit his head. He broke his nose. He swung his guitar, and the headstock hit his nose. He broke his nose.
No, that's a Spinal Tap moment.
That's a Spinal Tap moment.
Oh, man, we thought we were going to have to helicopter him off the ship. And we're in the middle, we're in the middle of the ocean, you know, so we're like, oh, my gosh. Finished the show. It was like the second song in. We had like 45 minutes. That's like 11 songs, maybe 11, 12 songs. He 2 songs in, man, broke his nose, gushing out blood. And finally, he played the whole set, man. He looked incredible. It looked like he was in a horror film, man, but it was real blood. It was pretty incredible. It was a credit to him, man. We were pretty proud of him. We just gutted it through, and who knows, man? Maybe his nose is still broke. Who knows?
You know what? That says a lot about
Sounds
Pop
like a
Evil,
trooper.
Man. I mean, I like the way you're.
Cancel, man. We don't cancel.
Yeah, I like the way you're thinking, man. It's like we're 2 songs in, we got to finish the show.
Yeah, we got to finish the show. Your nose is broken. You're not playing with your nose, right?
Exactly, man.
I don't cancel, man. No way. We write the song. I'll lip sync it before I cancel if I have to. I don't care. I wrote it. I don't care. I can lip sync if I have to. We don't cancel, man. People pay good money. They want to see us. They want to see us get up there and dance, shake it. Whatever rockers do, I wouldn't exactly call it dance or shaking it, but we're gonna whip the hair around.
Get the energy level up.
We're gonna get the energy up, and we're gonna crowd surf and let people have a good time, because that's what rock's about, man. I think the more bands that make sure that we remind people that rock is fun, we can be one of those bands that brings rock back to the mainstream, and that's what we're trying to do.
But we want to thank you, Leigh, for coming on the Hard Rockology Show. Everybody listening, pick up the brand new record, ONYX, by Pop Evil.
Awesome. I just want to thank you guys for spreading the word about Pop Evil, man. We're definitely grateful.
All right, so like we always do, Leigh, we always ask our guests if they want to go ahead and take us out with a track of their choice. So do you got a track that you'd like to take this segment out with?
Well, before I go, I want to leave you with one of my personal favorite songs on our album. This song is definitely for anybody out there that you lost, that you truly love, and you missed. This song is called Torn to Pieces.